born April 11th, 1946. Oh, I didn't even think that through. That tells her age. Don't do math. She still looks like she's 20. Okay, 1946, I just said it again. In Carson, Alberta, Canada, to William and Mary Weiss. When Irene was only 3 years old, she began playing the piano by ear. One of the first songs she played was a tune she heard on the radio, Put Another Nickel In. Performing Put Another Nickel In is Patricia Smith. Patricia lives in Provo and studied with Dr. Peery-Fox from 1986 to 1990. So Patricia, come on out. And these are the words to Put Another Nickel In, and we're all going to sing along with her. So you're going to give us a little intro, right, Patricia?
You say what?
You're going to give us a little intro, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. She first played in public by accompanying her brother Frank as he sang. Irene was 4 years old and Frank was 6 years old. When Irene was 7 years old, she became the church organist and primary pianist. As stated in the Cardston News, she chooses the hymns each week and follows the hymn of the month suggested regularly. Performing Irene's favorite hymn, I Stand All Amazed, is her student King Madsen. King comes from Linden, Utah, and he began studying with Dr. Peery-Fox in 2016 and is still studying with her. King? King. And now it's King said, we'll just sing the first verse, but King said it's okay if we sing with him. No intro. Just give us the first one.
So cute.
Amazed at the love Jesus offers me, confused at the grace that so fully He proffers me, I tremble to know that for me He was crucified, that for me a sinner He suffered, He bled and died. Oh, it is wonderful that He should care for me enough to die for me. Oh, it is wonderful, wonderful to me.
And the picture of Irene, he's 8. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, he just won the competition today to play with the symphony, so he'll be playing with the symphony.
Wow, congratulations, King. And I must also say, he could be the ward organist like his teacher, because he was given a total of less than a week's notice to play that, so he just pulled it out. Thank you, King. Irene met a lot of success early on, but when she was 15 years old, her performance career really started taking off as a result of winning second place in the CBC Talent Festival, the biggest music competition in Canada. Whoops.
Our second young contestant, Irene Wise, lives in Cardston, Alberta. She has already accomplished a great deal in her short lifetime, for she is now only 15. She studies in Calgary with Mrs. Gordon Egbert and has won a number of awards, scholarships, and prizes at The Lethbridge Festival, she won the Sir Alexander Galt Chapter Award for being the most outstanding musical student, and she had the highest marks in the concerto class in the Calgary Festival, and this year has given 8 concerts with the Calgary Philharmonic Orchestra for the children of the Calgary schools. We're to hear Irene Wise this evening in the first movement of Beethoven's Concerto for Piano and Orchestra No. 3, Opus 37 in C minor.
Irene was booked for performances throughout Canada, even appearing on the same concert series as her future teacher, Leon Fleischer. There he is, pictured in the same article. The following year, at 16 years old, and a week before she was about to compete once again in the CBC finals, her family home burned down, destroying everything. Her large music library, all of the trophies and awards she had collected, and her beautiful grand piano. Despite the tragedy, Irene went on to win first place at the CBC Town Festival with the Rachmaninoff Second Piano Concerto, performed tonight by Joanne Rust Stowe. Joanne comes from San Diego, California, and studied with Dr. Peery-Fox from 1984 to 1989. Joanne. Once again, with this win, she was booked with concert engagements throughout Canada. Other prize-winning pieces she played and concertized at this time were the Prokofievs. No, we're going to hear the Schumann Novelette. That was one of the ones she played at this time. Let's see. Whoops. Is that a Canadian thing? Those ding-dongs? Is that a Canadian thing? Canadian radio? Oh.
During the next half hour, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation presents Irene Wise, pianist. Irene Wise is now 17 and is from Cardston, Alberta. Since she was 10 years old, she has been a pupil of Mrs. W.G. Egbert of Calgary. Last January, she was the winner of the CBC's Talent Festival program, and this year was the guest soloist at the opening concert of the Calgary Philharmonic Orchestra, playing the Rachmaninoff Second Concerto. Later in the season, Irene Wise will perform with the Edmonton Symphony Orchestra. We'll first hear Irene Wise in music by Robert Schumann.
pieces she played at this time were Chopin's Impromptu No. 2 and Prokofiev's Sonata No. 3.
As part of this CBC Tuesday night program, we present from Winnipeg a piano recital by Irene Wise, a distinguished young Calgary artist. Last year, when the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation presented the CBC Winnipeg Festival on the campus of the University of Manitoba, Miss Wise was one of the visiting musicians. The music you are about to hear was part of her concert given before an audience of summer school students and others in Taché Hall on the campus. Irene Wise is heard first in the Impromptu No. 2 in F sharp by Chopin. Here it is, the third piano sonata by Prokofiev, played by Irene Wise.
Because I listened to her, is that she never has asked her students to do anything that she doesn't do herself. Right? So you can hear so much of your own playing in her playing. She's not just making it up. She knows what it takes to do that, and she does the work and gets those results, and that's the same thing she asks of her students. As one newspaper article described, a smiling, bouncing button of a girl from Cardston who really means business when she sits down to a grand piano, heard her talent described as a kind of genius at a concert here Friday evening. Irene went on to Juilliard with a full-ride scholarship where she completed her bachelor's and master's degrees. She got married and had her first child, Joseph, while studying at Juilliard. In 1972, when she was pregnant with her second child, yours truly, she gave her Carnegie Hall debut. From her New York Times review, her playing made clear why she has been a frequent prize winner. She is a capable technician, a poised performer, and a correct interpreter. Amongst the pieces she performed that night was the Prokofiev Toccata, performed tonight by John Shao. John comes from Salt Lake City, Utah, and he is a current student of Dr. Peery-Fox and began studying with her in 2017. John. It's fun to watch your face too, Mom, while you listen to your students, because you get to teach your face. Game on, John. Let's see how this goes. Okay. Two of Irene's favorite composers are Chopin and Liszt, and she has an album to prove it. Including on this album is the Chopin Third Sonata, the Liszt Mephisto Waltz, and Liszt's Concert Etude, the Campanella. Performing the Campanella tonight is Hilary Mahler. Hilary comes from Scottsdale, Arizona, and studied with Dr. Peery-Fox from 2008 to 2010, went on a mission and came back and studied with her again from 2012 to 2013. Hilary. Thank you. My childhood is filled with memories of my mom practicing performances. Some of the concerto performances I remember most are the Saint-Saëns G minor and the Tchaikovsky First Concerto. Performing Tchaikovsky Concerto No. 1 tonight, the first movement is Calo Latu. Calo comes from Provo, Utah, and studied with Dr. Peery-Fox from 1990 to 2005. And Calo, we can sing with you, right?
Yes.
Yes!
I'll play the opening parts and then you join.
Then we're the orchestra.
Audience participation.
Even with all the performances Irene gave, the one her mom always longed for was to hear her daughter play the Emperor Concerto. And her mom was a big part of her studying and all of her talent and time, all the time that was put into her training early on. I'm sure you've heard the story of grandma and mom driving 4 hours each way, 3 hours each way? At least, depending on the weather, on these gravel roads from Carson to Calgary, so that Irene could take from the very best teacher in Canada, and that was her mom driving her every week. So, and she would come all the time and visit us in Provo, and when I would practice, I mean, she would sit and listen to me practice all day long, and she would kind of fall asleep, and then when I'd stop playing, she'd wake up and go, "Oh, Christy, that is so beautiful." But I mean, just to have that kind of support, right? That somebody just your cheerleader all along the way during all those hours, and that's who she was to my mom. So her dream was realized of her playing the Emperor Concerto, and this is a quote from my grandma. "Now, as I had mentioned earlier, I had bought the score of Beethoven's Emperor Concerto for Irene to learn some 10 years earlier when Samuel was born, and asked her if she would learn it and play it for me before I died." That also sounds like grandma, because she didn't die for many, I mean, she is passed sadly now, but she didn't die for many years after that, but she would always talk about when she was going to die. Like, "Can you please do this for me? I'm going to die." So I just love that. Yeah, she wrote it, so that's totally her. Well, the church was having 5 inaugural concerts for the new concert hall in Salt Lake, and they were all Beethoven concertos, one each night. Well, they phoned Irene and asked her if she would play the 5th concerto on the 5th night. As she was, and always is, very busy, she at first said no. But after she had thought of my request, she decided to do it. It was scheduled for September 1984. So here's the next one. be a concert artist. I mean, listen to her play, right? So that was after she had had 3 kids. And even as a child, she was asked consistently about her future plans from a newspaper article. All I really want to do is continue my studying under Mrs. Gladys Abert, and then perhaps if I'm lucky, I'll get to the Juilliard School. After that, I just want to come home and get married and start teaching others to play the piano. I have no desire at all to do concert work. I'm much happier at home. Mom, we are so grateful for your choice to become a teacher. You have touched the lives of everyone here tonight and countless others who could not be here. Thank you for your love of music, for your love of us, and for your love of teaching. We really do love you. So. And so with that, the next part of our program is all a surprise to you guys, right? You don't know what's going on. I've asked, we have one speaker tonight, and is a very honored guest. It is my dear Aunt Lori. When my mom and Aunt Lori met, it was Lori Nelson. She was a student of my mom's at Utah State University. She then ended up marrying, maybe you're going to say some of this, is it okay? Oh, this is her speech. Okay, here is Lori.
When I was 14, I was going to do a flute solo at the Utah State Fair. And my dad brought the accompaniment to all the usual accompanists in Logan where we lived, and they would all get back and say, I can't learn this. So finally I said, Dad, there's that lady from Juilliard that has her ad in the paper. I think her name's Irene Peery. And can't you just call her? So we called her, and she said, sure, and this is how much I charge. And my dad said, okay. And we brought her the music, and she called us the next day and said, we're ready to rehearse. And it was not difficult music for her, because she was, of course, very skilled. And we went and played at the state fair. I was able to get first place, and I don't think it was my playing, I think it was her wonderful artistic accompanying. And after that, I again asked my dad, could I please just take piano from Irene? She's so wonderful. So I was able to become her student at that point. I was 15 years old. This was a long time ago. And as Christy talked about, their Grandma Weiss, she loved when she'd come to visit, she'd lie on the couch, listen to all of Irene's pupils. She called us Irene's pupils. And she loved to listen to them. And she listened to my lesson, and she opened one eye and said, Irene, that's the kind of girl Stan would like to go on a date with. Stan was her younger brother. So it was all arranged in the blind date, and I ended up married to Irene's brother, which was really fun. After that, then she kindly offered to let me help her with her housework in lieu of paying for lessons. And that was a great blessing to us. And it was always really fun every Saturday to go and do cleaning with her, and she taught me the best way to clean a toilet. I still do it that way. She had a technique, I'll tell you. Later, when I had children, we were blessed to live in Provo, and my children studied with Irene. And I was talking to them and trying to remember, one daughter still studies with her, my youngest, and the other she did earlier. We were talking about fond memories of lessons with Irene. She had a lot of cute anecdotes to illustrate things that you should know in life and know as a musician. And one of the stories she told, and I bet if you studied with her, you heard these stories. She talked about when she was quite young, backstage one time, not being willing to say a prayer, that her mother wanted her to pray, and then she forgot her piece. And so we all learned from that you should always be prayerful and humble. And she taught these things to her students. Another one we remembered was, I had them all shut down and then I forgot them because usually I just play the piano for people, I don't talk. Oh yeah, thanks Jenna, yeah. She was playing a concert and a fly landed on the piano and she killed it with her finger while she was playing. She said, I thought I'm gonna play the rest of my piece with fly guts on my hand. The show must go on. And so she finished, and I guess God cleaned us out and finished it after. And the other one, I remember she told us probably about the age of 16, being very fashion conscious and very fashionable. She dyed her hair blonde and had beautiful pink lipstick and went to her lesson. And Mrs. Egbert explained to her that she shouldn't dye her hair and paint her nails and wear lipstick. And from that, we learned that you always dress to be dignified if you're going to be a musician and have people respect you, you want to always look the part. And so we learned that from Irene as well. And one time she was playing a concert in Logan, and there was an earthquake while she was playing her concert. And she would tell the story, I just played and then I scooted when she was how she scooted. And I played and scooted until the concert was over. Never missed any notes, just the essential performer right through the earthquake. And she would tell us about going to her lessons in New York with Madame Kabish. And one day she had to walk from the subway and her hands were really cold. She said, can I just take a minute and run my hands under some hot water? Madame Kabish said, darling, if you're not prepared. No, she said, if you're prepared, you don't need a warm-up. And so the kids always would quote that and say, we have to be ready for any occasion. We can't have any excuses. We don't need a warm-up. And so I just thought that was really fun things to hear from her life that she would tell the students during her lessons that they really could relate to her. As my daughters will tell you, she always wants to know about your boyfriends. And what's going on, who you're dating, and are you going to get engaged? And she wants to meet them and tell you if they're okay or not. She really likes to hear about those things, and that made us feel close to her. I remember for Jessica, she told her that she wouldn't give her another lesson at BYU until she bought a planner and filled it out and showed it to Irene that she was not going to miss any more things. So these are just great life lessons that we were able to learn from her. As a person and a family member, I feel a great love for Irene. She's kind to her parents, she was kind to her siblings, her nieces, nephews. She has a great love in her heart for everyone. And while she can be a demanding and exacting teacher, she always underneath it, you sense that she had a great love for you as her student or as her family member. And I just feel like she's built a wonderful, tremendous legacy here as she's taught so many of us for so many years. And we love you very much, Irene. Thank you.
Thank you, Aunt Lori. That was such a great talk. Good memories. You had Jody, Jessica, Jana, Jasmine, 3, right? I'll take. So parents know how that's great. So I work for parents too. Okay, so we have a little video presentation that's about 4 minutes long, and this is supposed to get your juices flowing about what you want to say during our open mic portion, where you can come and say some public memories or gratitude or whatever you want to. Dr. Fox. So we're going to have a little video, and then I'll have you come up to the stage for a second. Okay. Hopefully this. Whoops. This is so intense for me. Okay, how do I get that to show, like just my normal, just my screen? Yeah? Yes. Thank you. How do I get that to show? Huh? Settings. Thanks, Clark. Oh, here she goes. Oh, okay. Whoa, but how do I start it? Okay, maybe.
The symphony now performs the title song, Rhapsody in Blue, by America's own George Gershwin, as arranged by Thomas Ferrier. It features piano soloist Irene Peery-Fox, a distinguished faculty member from the BYU School of Music.
When I think of Dr. Fox, what is the first thing that comes to mind? Energy.
When Dr. Fox sees that I'm really prepared, she gives me a hug and tells me good job and a vine.
Dr. Fox is never seen without a good attitude.
What is Dr. Fox's advice when you're getting ready for a really important performance? Full chart every day, don't cut any corners, you can't hit even a crack. If there's even one correction that is still not perfect, do it 50 times a day if necessary.
When Dr. Fox isn't teaching, she loves to grow flowers.
What is the best advice Dr. Fox has ever given you?
Performing is a vital part of performing.
Dr. Fox is never seen without a sharp outfit.
Dr. Fox is never seen without a perfect coiffure and stylish outfit. You always were so put together, it just amazed me. Your perfect hair and your beautiful suits and outfits. I really I always look forward to seeing you in your beautiful clothes.
Dr. Fox is never seen without a...
Dr. Fox loves teaching because she loves to create beautiful music through her students and mold them into great people.
When you think of Dr. Fox, what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
I'm most likely to hear Dr. Fox say when I don't come well prepared, "Why did you bother coming to your lesson today?"
Hear Dr. Fox say when you don't come very well prepared.
I never do come unprepared.
Dr. Fox's
Her favorite pet is definitely cats.
A zebra.
White cats and her beautiful white couches.
Dr. Fox's favorite color is white, based on the white room we have.
Dr. Fox's favorite color, the two colors that came to mind were white, of course, white Corvette, and all the other color I brought up was red, because that Corvette had red leather interior.
Her reactions were always encouraging, and that she knew I could do better, and that I would.
I think you love teaching because I think it is your gift. It's your gift given to you by your Heavenly Father, and I think it's a gift that you give to all those you interact with. I love it. I think you love it because you are an inherent mother. You are a mother to all of us. I know you are a mother to me. And it's your way of raising all of these people, all of these students in the best way that you know how. It truly is a gift to us. And we all love you. I love you so much.
If you could have one of Dr. Fox's attributes, what would it be?
The greatest piano teacher in the entire world.
And then any grandchild that has a rose, I just want to be able to present her and for us to be able to applaud her one more time before we open them up.
She promised me I wouldn't have to talk, but now she just said, "Do you want to say anything?" I just want to say that this is the most beautiful, familiar, wonderful crowd of people to see all of you students here together and just the friendship I have with all of you and realizing what great gifts you are, what great gifts you have in music and so wonderful and so disciplined, and what great gifts you've been to me and you are to me. I said to Christy to make sure that you all know that I'm retiring from BYU because I did that because my son was dying, but he died before I made the full retirement. So I still could have been teaching, but you know what? I'm happy with my private students, and it's a wonderful, wonderful studio, and I see so many of you here. Today I had 3 of you win the concerto contest. I think we clean sweep the 3 pianists for my students from my studio. So it is a hot studio. And they're doing so well, and everything that you've seen on the videos tonight are so true. I have to tell you, if my life is ever sad and I'm feeling bad, all that needs to happen is for one of you to walk in my studio, and I'm okay. When my son died, I think some people asked why I was still, if I felt like I needed a break, and I said, no, you're the ones that lift me up. You're the ones that make me happy. Your beautiful music, your beautiful talents, and I truly love every one of you. You've been a gift to me, and I know that this is family. All of you are family that I will know for the eternities. I really believe that we will all be doing music in heaven, and that we will all be sharing our love and our gifts, and that's what Heavenly Father wants us to do. President David O. McKay, in one of his speeches, said, I want to tell you that when we go to meet the Savior, I'll tell you the things that he's going to ask you in the order he's going to ask you. And the first thing he's going to say is, tell me about your spouse. The second thing he's going to say is, tell me about your children. And the third thing that he's going to say is, tell me what you did with the talents I gave you. And I've thought about that so much and how important it is to our Heavenly Father that we develop our talents, because we can serve others and we can represent ourselves to other people and show our love to other people and be together for the eternities. And I've always thought of that talk. I first heard it when I was 16, and you've seen the videos of us in the middle of quite a big career at that time. And when I won the biggest competition in Canada and was able to play the Rachmaninoff Concerto with the Montreal Symphony, the Toronto Symphony, all across Canada because I was the winner. And afterwards they asked me, what do you want to do now with your career? And I said, well, I think what I'd like to do is get married and have a family. And I can remember when I went to my teacher the next week, she said, darling, you should never say something like that on a paper interview. And I said, how come? And she said, well, they expect you to say, I want to tour the world, I want to be a concert pianist. And I said, but I don't, I just want to teach others. And that has been the dream of my life, to teach other people and to help them experience the same joy through music as I have experienced. And my daughter is a wonderful example. She's been such a joy to me, as to all my other 2 sons as well, who are amazingly talented and gifted and love music. And so we've had this bond, this wonderful music bond to share. And so it's been a wonderful thing in the family, it's been a wonderful thing in the community, and I don't think I will ever get tired of teaching. I don't think I will ever get tired of loving all of you. I look at each of you out there, I mean, you're my friends, you're all my students. It is so wonderful. This is the best group of people I've ever had gathered together. I love you all so much, and I appreciate your hard work in piano. I know I'm a hard driver, but I also love you. And you do such a great job. You are such thrilling students to me, and such a thrill in my life. And you cheer me up and make life worthwhile. It's just amazing what music can do to the soul. And I'm so grateful for all of you. And thank you so much for coming and for being a part of this. I had no idea what's going on tonight. This sweet daughter of mine, I didn't even know it was going to go on, but what a thing that she has done. What a bunch of memories she has created for me tonight. And I want to thank her for that. It's so amazing. I wish you could have met my other two sons. One is gone now, but the other one, Samuel, is just amazing also. And I was so lucky to be able to marry Angus, who has a daughter who's an opera singer and attended the Indiana School of Music, so I lucked into a fourth musician. So music is wonderful. It's the best thing. And thank you for coming.
To each other too, because it's such a bond to be a Peery student. But we want to do about 15 minutes of open mic, so we would love to have you come up. So I was thinking of how to do it so it wasn't too much like a testimony meeting, because that would feel a little uncomfortable. So we're going to make it fun. If you want to come up, just come have a seat. If you want to say something, we'll just take turns. Come sit by her. It's a nice privilege. Then just slide down and make room for another person. I'll start taking the chairs away at 20 after, and that's how we'll know. And then just to make sure that we keep it short so that we have as many people who want to share that can, we're going to have Doug Lowe. This is so awesome. Going to give, like, you know at the Oscars when the acceptance speeches are getting too long and they start playing the music? Doug's going to start playing the music. So we're Yes, I just want to say I asked Doug to do this today. So he's just going to improv, right? Amazing. Okay, so we'll turn the time over starting now.
So this is something completely unrelated to piano, but it was part of my experience. One year, I don't know what it was that she saw in me that I needed to have in my life, but I grew up with 6 sisters, and so maybe she thought I needed to be around her boys a little bit. So one 4th of July, she took me the whole day. We got fireworks, we had pizza or some type of barbecue. I remember going to Days Thriftway and getting about 6 cases, the big cases of Diet Coke, and I helped haul those into the house, and it was just good times. And I remember that day that she cared about me as a person, not just as a student. So she really has reached beyond just driving music into me and into my life, but also creating a human experience for my life for many years to come. And it's influenced every decision that I've ever made. So I thank you for that.
I'll just be quick. A couple, so I have this memory of, I took from Irene when she was about Christy's age right now, and I would go up to her house, and Christy would sometimes, or her kids would come in and say, "What are we having for dinner?" And I've just remembered this many times because I've had to tell it to my own children, but I just remember one particular day, I think it was Sam that came in and said, maybe it was Christy, "What are we having for dinner tonight, Mom?" And she said, "We're going to have roast beef again." And Christy said, "Well, we've had that for 2 nights in a row." And she said, "Well, we're going to eat it until it's gone. So that's what we're having tonight." So I've actually said that to my children many times. Eat it right until it's gone. The other thing that I study with her, and then I've had a large family, and I mostly taught them. I haven't had a big studio or played a lot of places for years or whatever, but mostly just played for my family and for the choir, the word choir. But there's been many times when I played for the word choir or for my family, and I just feel this gratitude for my training, that I can play a certain phrase or voice a certain way or just have the color to add to the moment. And I just feel like, what a blessing. The whole education. I don't know if you ever have that moment where your whole education, all those years of playing and training and thousands of dollars that your parents put into it, makes it so that that one moment is really beautiful. So, thank you.
I'm Denise Williams, and I'm representing my daughter Lucy Williams-Tykert, who can't be here tonight. Lucy studied with Irene from 1997 until 2013, when she graduated from BYU. And I was privileged to sit at the feet of Irene and learn from her as a teacher myself, that I was able to pass on to other wonderful students. I'm going to read this from Lucy for you, Irene. I remember the day my bird died. I was on my way to my piano lesson, rushing down the stairs to get in the car, and when I noticed the unusual quiet and stillness in the birdcage, I arrived at my lesson half an hour late and red-eyed, but knowing that one simply didn't just miss their lesson. I have to insert here that we had a quick burial and funeral for the bird before the lesson, but she was very distressed to be half an hour late. In that moment, I learned something about Dr. Peery-Fox. She took one look at my tear-streaked face and asked in the kindest, tenderest way what had happened. She consoled me and said it didn't matter at all I was so late, that we would just get through what we could in my lesson and it would all be okay. That is only one of the memories, probably my earliest, that indicated to me that Dr. Peery-Fox cares about her students as people, not just as lessons to be taught and wrong notes to be fixed. She taught me that people matter more than getting things done. People's lives matter more than starting a lesson right on time and jumping into the material. I knew then that she didn't just care about making me a better pianist, she cared about me. She cared, and I think that's what makes her the best teacher in the world. I love you so much, Dr. Peery-Fox. I wish I could be there to give you the biggest hug and tell you so. Thank you for making a difference for me and for so many others. Love you, your Lucy Lou.
So I was born in, I'm just going to go to just really quickly, just to mention Diet Coke a second ago, reminded my very first lesson with her. I played my technique for her, and then she said, okay, let me just get my Diet Coke here, and I'll be ready to hear your piece. And I realized now it's probably because I gave her a headache and that kind of thing. So that's number one. And then number two, for my very first lesson with her, I learned to listen. That's when I really started learning what to listen for and how to listen. And I love that, just what the first speaker mentioned, that I can sit down and I can shape a phrase, I can voice things, I can voice inner notes. And I remember one time her telling me when I was playing the Bach E minor partita, she said, I think this was one of my favorite pieces, Dan, because of the way you play it. And she probably says that to everybody, but that really meant a lot to me. And I really appreciated that. And then just the last thing, one of my favorite memories was when we had one of our BYU gatherings at the end of the semester at her house, and I had heard the story about her playing the accordion for all the faculty, and I finally convinced her to pull out her accordion, and we played Beer Barrel Polka, and I played it on the piano, and she played it on the accordion, and she tried to teach me. But anyway, I loved that. I loved that, she could be strict with us in our lessons and have high expectations, but she was also a lot of fun, had a great sense of humor, and could laugh a lot, so I appreciate that. Love her very much.
Hi, I'm Janine Williams, and a lot to reflect upon here. But two experiences with Dr. Fox. First of all, I remember when I was a young girl taken from Dr. Peery-Fox, I was going through this phase where I was struggling practicing, I didn't want to practice, and I had this long history. And I remember feeling so incredible when Dr. Fox was willing to make this special chart for me. And if I would come to lessons and have it completely filled out, she would give me a stuffed animal. And I would get quite a few of these. And I remember I got a pound puppy that was covered in music notes. It was the coolest thing and made me feel so special. And it got me practicing, which was most important, right? I can only imagine what my mother and her talked about in this discussion to come up with this plan, but it worked. And then one other instance, took from Dr. Fox through college, took a break, had my 4 children, and then eventually came back and earned my master's and almost my doctorate. And I remember when I was in the middle of having my family and taking lessons from her, and I was really struggling with wanting to continue with my music and knowing that my responsibilities needed to be at home. And I'll never forget sitting with her and her sharing with me the most wise words that had ever been shared. She referenced a scripture saying there's a time and a season for everything in our lives. And she says, and right now your time is with your family. And the day will come where you can return back to your love of music. And that day did return. And I'm very grateful for those words of wisdom that I have clung to. I think Dr. Fox has just really made all of us feel so special. We all think that we're her favorite. And I think that's what makes Dr. Fox so amazing, that she makes us feel loved.
I think I have a different take on this. I first met Irene. She came to her door with her mother, our partner Dora, New York. Cutest girl in a little red cape. I had a roommate who was annoyed with people coming over to our apartment, and she answered the door and said, "Who the hell are you?" Well, needless to say, the next year Irene and I became roommates, and I'll tell you, living with her, she has such discipline. She would practice until 11 o'clock at night. Not just 11 o'clock, but the little handicap had come all the way up to the 12th before she would stop. Now, I was at Juilliard too on violin, but I never practiced like that. But ever since then, I just have loved her so much and admired her. One of the fun things we had to do at Juilliard is we had a sonata class together. Playing with Irene is absolutely incredible. I remember one time the teacher said to her, he chewed her out for not practicing. I was the one that hadn't practiced, and I thought, oh my goodness, because she is so good. And playing solos with her in sacrament meeting, and we even gave a recital together. Absolutely the finest accompanist I have ever played with. And
I was the finest accompanist. I'm your daughter. I took from Irene, so that's what I know.
You weren't born yet. So I just wanted to share a few words about her and how wonderful she is. And now I would like to say,
I'm gonna be quick, sorry for the outburst. I am unorganized, I am 45. I came to her when I was 9. My mom, the whole New York thing is awesome. Okay, does anybody remember crying at lessons? That is me? Okay, what happened there? I don't know, but I'm impressed. Your teaching has evolved over time, and you do quotes and all this stuff. I remember, the thing I know about you, Irene, is, Dr. Fox, that you're first a mom, you're a wife, and that means the world to me. And what the first gal said, music is throughout our whole lives. It's not just when you teach, it's when you breathe. My mom says that her violin is in her, the music is in her. I don't know if you feel that, but I feel the music in me. I don't even have to play the piano. I feel it right here. And you help me get there. Thank you.
I loved Dr. Peery-Fox for her ability to remove the possibility of excuses for anything. There was I remember going to her and saying, I've practiced so much that my fingers are bleeding, and she'd say, oh, you just get some nail glue and just put it, and then you can keep going, and there was just no excuse. And I worked at a pizza place, and I was grating cheese in this industrial cheese grater, and it went into my fingernail, and I can't come to a lesson because cheese grate. That's okay, just come with the left hand and we'll work. Okay. Which I love. It's been a really great thing for my kids that come up with really great excuses. Basically, that's a wonderful explanation. Go do the thing that you're supposed to do. I also loved that the first time I asked Dr. Peery-Fox what to eat before a performance, thinking that it would be, I don't know, something really complicated, but she didn't even hesitate. She said, chocolate. Sweet. Say no more. And I just pound chocolate every time I get to perform. And then the next part I have to read so that I won't go on forever. From an email that I wrote to her. So much love to you, Dr. Fox. I cannot think about you or think about anything surrounding the events of the past month and not lose it. I'm so sorry to not have reached out the day I heard the news. God, me, Susan, I left. This was on a rainy Saturday, just following the week that your son passed. I had just come out of the HVAC, where I had rehearsed with Hiram in the now empty office that had previously been warmed by your inspiration, your fire, and your lamp. Not the fluorescent, but the lamp. Nobody can ever take your place, not in that office, not on that faculty, nothing against. I love everybody that is serving on the BOE faculty, but I'm old, so I can say that. Nobody can take your place. Not in the miracles you've worked in every studio with every student. I feel like I was led to you, that you worked literal miracles with me, made dreams become a reality for me and everyone. So thank you on behalf of the many hundreds of others that you've given these same gifts. Love you.
So my mom nudged me down here. She's like, okay, you need to speak for me and you need to tell Dr. Fox how grateful I am for her to have accompanied you out of state to California, to Wisconsin, and she really does take the personal time to support us students. I remember when my parents and I realized that Dr. Fox is actually human and she eats food. My dad loves to cook, and so I think we made some type of food, and we're like, should we share this with Dr. Fox? Like, Dr. Fox, do you eat? And she was like, oh yeah, I eat. And we're like, oh, you eat food, good. And so, she's not human, just some of us. And, we'll always remember that. I remember one snowy day, going up her hill is the worst, right? And my dad was driving his Volkswagen Bug, and it was so hard to get up. We barely got up, and then it was so snowy that Dr. Fox, she took the time to take me home personally, down the hill, down, by Timpview High School, that area, and she just, it took me down, and I felt like, oh, this is so special. Dr. Fox took me home in her car, and the whole time in the car ride, I was like, ooh, what do I do, I have so much respect for you, Dr. Fox, and my whole family loves you so much. My mom adores you, and I know that I'm speaking for so many people when we say that we really don't believe that you're human. But we love you so much, and we know that you do your best and are so blessed. We love you. Okay, just for time, we're going, I think the stair people, is that right? Okay, so Jessica, will you be the last one?
Yeah, we're all going to go at the same time.
Okay, the Weiss girls, can they be you can go, yes. But the Weiss girls, you be the last one. That's great. That's a great finale right there. Okay, so, and then we have the notebook, the memory book that you can write other things in for her. We'll have that on the piano. So, yeah, I got Judy, so I was going to bring it up. So anyway, thank you.
I can personally say the nail glue thing is real. Like 3 months ago, that was suggested to me. So Dr. Peery-Fox, you are probably the biggest influence in my life. You're just such a wonderful example to me. I never cried this evening, but and I just have so much love for you, and I know that you'll just always be there, and I'm just so blessed to have you part of my life. And I love you so much. Thank you.
Okay, so I will give a third testimony to that fingerprint bleeding thing. It is real, and I remember the follow-on comment that Dr. Peery gave me. She said, "Just keep at it; it will get better." So I don't know what that was. We're just practicing. My fingers were gonna stop bleeding somehow. But I'm up here for myself and for Sam, who some of you may know is my best friend. And I wanted to share a couple things for myself and for him because he couldn't be here tonight. For those of you that know Sam and you know what happened with Joseph, this is the gift that keeps on giving. He is taking his nephew around 2 music schools around the U.S. so that he can audition to get in because his father can't. So I just thought that's a really wonderful thing, and he really wishes that he could be here. So my first masterclass memory comes when I was 14, and this was before I was taken from Dr. Peery, and it was great because I just got to know Sam at junior high school, so I came up to his house, and as a very self-aware 14-year-old, I rang the doorbell, and no one answered. And there was piano music playing, and I kind of peeked through the side window, and I saw there were people sitting there, and I thought, oh, this is funny, someone's playing the piano, nobody's answering. So I kept jamming the doorbell for several minutes, and finally the door opened very abruptly, and I think this is the first memory I have of you. And there was this look, like, and I was like, and I said, hey, is Sam here? And she goes, yes, I think he's upstairs. You shouldn't do that. We're having a class. And then I walked in, I stepped in the foyer, and I looked, and there were about 20 people, some of you maybe, sitting in the room, staring at me like who this idiot was that was jamming the doorbell. So that was my first memory. But as we know, Dr. Peery-Fox has a great heart, and we would often joke when I was up there that she was both the Dr. Peery, the piano teacher, and the mother. And I remember I had a very memorable lesson, one week, right? And I remember coming out of there sweating pretty good, and I went to talk to Sam, and we were sitting in the front room, and about 15 minutes later she came in, and I fully expected to have a reminder that maybe the best thing for me to be doing would be practicing, and she said, are you guys going to go do something really fun tonight? And it was such a relief, because Sam told me, and this was what he wanted me to share, is he said, just remind everyone that there was a point at which master class was on Friday, and my master classes didn't always go so well, and when they didn't, I didn't get to go do something in the evening, so he said, but mostly you didn't enforce it too much. So last thought, you guys all know this, but it has stuck with me my whole life. Does practice make perfect? No. Perfect practice makes perfect. I always remember that. So thank you so much.
What an honor it is to be here. I'll see if my Texas accent comes out. Having lived there for 20 years now. Really just 5 key points. First of all, my first introduction to Dr. Fox was, I delivered newspapers as a 14-year-old boy, and I remember reading the papers, and I would always see these articles about this piano teacher whose students were always winning. So by the way, she's always got a hot piano studio, right? Always. So I thought, gosh, I want to take lessons from her. So secondly, I remember going and auditioning and playing this Brahms intermezzo and wondering, is this good enough? And so delighted a few months later when I got the call saying, this, you can come join the studio. Third thing, at that point, then my parents said, well, I'm not sure we can afford it. How much can you contribute? So I got a job, and we're cleaning schools, toilets even, in the bathroom at an elementary school near our home. And back then it was $3.25 an hour, and I would work the entire month and give the check to my dad, and it was totally worth it. Because then I got to take lessons from the best teacher ever. So thank you.
Oh my goodness, hello. All right, so I started taking piano lessons from Dr. Peery when I was like 5 years old, so I was like this tall. And I remember hearing that my dad had taken piano lessons from her in college. I'm like, oh my goodness, this woman must be like a dinosaur. Probably like an immortal, like, because like, I don't know, when you're 5, you think your parents are like 300 years old. You're like, oh, they took piano lessons from this person, she must be like, yeah. Sorry. But yeah, no, I just had so many good memories, and she was always just like a second grandmother to me, and she was just like the most amazing person. And I remember back in like 1st grade, she had me come play for a class here. I don't know why, but having like a 5-year-old come and perform for like college students that are like working on their master's degrees, I don't understand. Anyways, but then like she kept saying, she's like, you're so talented. I'm like, thanks for building up my 1st grade self-ego. And then making me have no friends in elementary school, it's fine. Sorry, I'm being like so sarcastic and mean, but no, really, these lessons and Dr. Peery has such a huge impact on my life, and I've benefited from them so much in my life. Even like in school classes, they're like doing technique in like the circle of this, and like, what's the key signature for this? I'm like, oh, that's like F sharp, diminished major, augmented. That's not a key. Yeah, but yeah, so I've just benefited so much, and I love Dr. Peery, and yeah, it's true that we didn't think that you were human, but now we know, and yeah, I love you so much. Thank you.
So I've been taking piano lessons from Dr. Fox since I was in 5th grade. But before that, I didn't really like playing piano. Like, it was something more that I did because I had to, and because I had to practice. But you know, I'd rather have a social life instead. And so then we switched teachers, and I came to her studio, and like, there was just this instant change for me where suddenly I actually liked practicing, I actually liked music, I liked what I could do and what I could become. And like, for my parents, just for me also, it was just such a huge change in character and just enjoyment. And now, like, I'll be having a heart attack behind stage when my performance is going to come up. And then I walk out on stage and I'm suddenly fine, and I just realized that I really love it, and I love doing this, and I didn't before, but now I do, and it's because of you. So thank you so much, and yeah.
Hi. I feel so honored for Dr. Fox to be my teacher, and she has changed my life, and there are no words to describe the gratitude that I feel for you. And I thank you for being my friend and my teacher and my #1 supporter in every decision I make in piano and in everything. So thank you.
So growing up, I truly believed that everything Dr. Fox touched turned to gold. So one detail that I distinctly remember about my first lesson was being so impressed with her toilet paper. And yeah, it was just regular quilted toilet paper. But the reason why it stood out to me so much is because it had gained her approval, which is a concept I never thought I would be familiar with. Since the first day I met you, everything good and beautiful in life has always reminded me of you, because I think you epitomize everything that is lovely about this world. Your name has been one of the most revered names in my family, right after that of Heavenly Father himself. And my entire family would just like to thank you for setting the standard of what an amazing human is and should be. And I'm so grateful that you were the #1 influence in my life, because what an influence to have. I mean, I think that you can do no wrong, and that you are actually a flawless human being. So thank you so much.
So I started taking Dr. Fox when I was 9, and I was this little all nerves, perfectionist, and I was just thinking, I think the best thing that I learned from Dr. Fox was to really love performing and love music. And I think if I had taken it from any other teacher, I don't know if I would be a performance major right now, because I probably would have started hating all the practicing. But I had so many moments at our lessons, even starting from my first little hide and kid chair go, and I remember she got up out of her chair and had me play through it and was helping me feel the expression and feel the da 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 da, and it was so exciting playing with that kind of energy. And I grew to I love music today, and I don't think I would have chosen it as my career if it weren't for you. I learned so many amazing things about music and about hard work and about loving sharing my talents with people for me. So thank you so much.
Dr. Peery-Fox, I just want to let you know, me and my family love you so much. And every time they ask my children, do you have a tiger mom? My children say that no, we have a tiger teacher. So I want to thank you for all the years you taught my kids, for the good discipline, your hard work, good people. They will be able to go to mission, then get married, and be a good person. So all you do, you always be his mother. So in my heart, you taught them so much that in their good life, trained them with discipline, hard work, everything. That I think that they made me think. I think the day before yesterday, Jim returned my phone call. That in the 11:30. And I said, Jim, why you don't sleep? He said, I already get up, Mom. I will went to lab to work. That made me immediately thinking, Dr. Peery-Fox, you taught them all the hard work, discipline, and all these things. I really appreciate it in my life. So thank you for teaching my children.
We decided to get up together. We are, as she calls us, Dr. Fox's cute little nieces. But she's not Dr. Fox to us, she's Aunt. We have several aunts, but we always just called her Aunt, and we all knew who we were talking about when we did. I didn't end up pursuing music as a career, but I always remember one thing Aunt taught us, and that was it doesn't matter what you do as long as you're the best at it. And I wasn't the best at music, but I've always, anything I do, I try to, be as good as I can at it, and that's definitely something that comes from her.
Can we just get a round of applause for the heated floors in her house? Well, I had my own nickname. It was Jessie Poo, because I'm Jessie. I don't think any of you have a nickname like that. But I just want to share one little funny story. One time I was having a lesson and I was playing a Bach prelude that opened with this big trill. And she was really drilling me on the trill because I wasn't getting every note in the trill like she wanted. And she was telling me there's this pianist, a professional pianist that practices trills for 2 hours a day.
4 hours a day. And it was a pretty intense lesson, and I was feeling like I was getting in trouble. And Angus pops his head in the door and says, "Well, that doesn't sound very fun." It's so funny because it just kind of lightened the mood. And I have so many fun memories with Aunt Irene, and I loved learning from her in lessons, and I also got to do a lot of accompanying for her students after I graduated, and that was really fun, and I see a lot of you here. So, hi, how are you? So my middle name is Irene. I was actually named after Dr. Fox, Aunt Irene, because her first granddaughter actually passed away just a day before I was born. So that's how I received her namesake. And I remember she would always say, "I love when you win competitions because I get to see Jasmine Irene Weiss on the programs," and reminds her of Irene Weiss. And when we were listening to all these radio things, I kept seeing Irene Weiss, and I felt the same way. I was like, oh, now I know how she felt. It's funny that she got in trouble for dyeing her hair blonde because we all dye our hair blonde. But with all the talk about her being so stylish, it made me think of, I've been her student since I was 5 or 6. And so she's kind of seen me grow up and kind of helped me through my awkward junior high phase. And I remember one time at my lesson, she said, "Have you been painting on your eyebrows?" Because I had been, experimenting with makeup and stuff. And I came home and I was like, "Oh, my eyebrows do look weird." And I stopped doing them like that. One time I wore a beanie to master class, and she said, "Are you going to take that off when you play?" And I said, "It's part of my outfit." She said, "You shouldn't wear a beanie when you perform." And I never wore a beanie to master class again. And I remember after one of my concerts with the symphony, she said, "You played so well, but you just slumped across the stage, and we need to teach you how to walk." She made me walk back and forth and lift my shoulders back, and she really taught me how to not be so awkward, and I'm grateful for that, along with all of the music training, of course. But she's just been such a great influence in my life. There are so many amazing memories. I remember, hopefully this isn't getting too long, he's going to start playing. But I was, okay, I'll tell this really fast. I was playing the Grieg concerto for my sophomore recital just last semester, and I could not get the tempo right of the opening. And she said, "Why can't you get this?" And I said, "I play with the metronome every day. I don't know why I can't get it." And she said, "You need to just feel the beat inside you. Get up and march around the room." She had me put the metronome on and march to the beat. Dun, 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 dun. I don't know if that was the right beat even now, but so she just taught me so much and so many good memories, and we love you so much, Aunt Irene. Thank you for everything.
Thank you all for coming. There's food if you want to chat with each other. There's food on this side. Oh, we're going to get a picture. Good idea, Emily. Can we turn the house lights up? Let's get a picture. Maybe Mom will stand it, right? So, thank you all.